Coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona, home of Super Bowl 57, it's the Geary, Stein and Stevens Show with your hosts, Troy Geary, Will Stein, and Dave Stevens. Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to be back on Radio Row. Dave Stevens here for the Geary, Stein and Stevens Show, kicking off our third or fourth day of coverage. I don't know. I'm so tired. But it's great to be here back in my home, Valley of the Sun. Haven't got up to Wickenburg, but they got a great festival this weekend that I wonder if my guest today has been up there and tasted some of the delicacy of cactus and fried whatever they do up there. But let me bring in my friend and host from Minnesota, who is right across from me, Troy Geary. Of course, better than being in Duluth right now, right, Troy?
Oh, yeah. I left, it was 15 below. So.
And Will is somewhere around trying to grab Sean Alexander, former Seattle Seahawks, so we will hopefully have him a little bit after. But are you hungry? You want to hear about some food, and you want to hear about a great event? Well, I've got an old friend who we've met a couple of times, and also sitting next to Andrew is Maureen from the Taste of the NFL. She's also the CEO at Gen Youth, and of course, Andrew Zimmern. I could sit here for a half hour and talk about what he does as an author and a producer and an executive and a food critic and all the shows he's had and the crazy things he eats. And in fact, the last time we were together was in Minnesota at the Mall of America, and I asked you the craziest thing you've ever eaten, and you said it was Sasquatch. And I was so freaked out, I didn't even have a follow-up question to that. So a long interview planned for today, but no, Andrew Zimmern, thank you for joining us today on Radio Row to talk a little bit about your event and your life and everything. So welcome.
Thanks. It's great to see you guys. A couple of quick notes. First of all, no better place to be today than in Duluth. Anywhere in Minnesota that you could be. It's a little chilly. It's a little chilly there today, but still, what a great place. I'm very proud to call Minnesota my home these days. And yeah, Sasquatch is delicious. If you can get some of that matted hair out of your teeth, I mean, it's kind of a problem.
Now, are we talking the $6 million man Sasquatch or the ones that we see in the grainy film? Like
the ones that you see in the grainy film,
okay.
They're real. And Wickenburg, yes.
And Maureen Bausch is joining us, the CEO of Gen Youth. And Maureen, you've been a part of this event for so long, and it means so much to so many, as we've talked about hunger, especially during the COVID situation and how desperate it is that we need to get our kids hungry, that are hungry, fed. And you two have been huge champions of that. So why do you stay involved? Why is it so important to you?
Well, and I'm actually with Taste of the NFL. And so it is such an important issue, ending student hunger. And Taste of the NFL is a wonderful opportunity where the best chefs in the world come together with the football players. And so many football players care about this issue. And so everybody does their best cooking, and the players are there, and it's just a wonderful way to raise money for this very important issue. And the organization, Gen Youth, that produces this event, really works year-round in schools to help the schools feed children in need, and it is a very important.
And people don't understand how important it is for what you do because of how many starving families out there. Again, especially during COVID, that first meal of the day is so important, and if they don't have it, they come to school hungry. They're not going to do well in school.
Many times it's the school is providing the majority of their nutritional needs, and 1 in 8, 30 million across the country.
Well, I mean, 1 in 8 statistically. I think the number is actually more about 21%. It's a hidden disease that has so much shame and stigma associated with it. People don't jump up and down and say, "Hi, I'm desperate and hungry." Some do because they are that desperate. Many people don't put the hand up. Many families would rather feed grandma than buy medicine, right? Or buy medicine for a sick child and skip a meal themselves as parents. Hunger is a hidden problem as well as an overt problem that you can see. So I'm convinced, after working in hunger for the last, 24, 25 years at a very high level, that we don't know exactly what the number is. It's, as best I've been able to peg, it's about 21, 22%. One of the things that's so important is that our municipal, state, and federal governments can solve the hunger problem. I think it would take statistically about 2 weeks. We have the distribution systems, we have the trucks, the buses, the cooking equipment, we have everything that we need. We even have the $2 billion or so a year that it would take to feed those that are hungry, right? It is within our ability to solve this problem. However, we lack the political will to do it. This is not left or right. This is not red or blue. This is a forward issue for America. Do we want a country where it's okay that kids are hungry? Not in the country I want to be a part of. So, I'm going to die in the saddle fighting this until every child that is hungry knows where their meals are coming from. And organizations like Gen Youth have targeted events like this one, Taste the NFL, to spread the gospel. People can learn more about it by going to tastetheNFL.com. We host this huge party on Saturday night that Maureen was talking about. It's the premier food event at the Super Bowl and fast becoming one of the premier events at the Super Bowl, full stop. Tickets are being held this year for the first time at the door, so people can come. You can buy tickets online. You can learn more about the organization. And if it's within your capability to do so, please make a donation. But even more importantly, because most people in America are cash poor right now, right? And so as important as dollars are, please go to tastetheNFL.com if you're listening. Cut and paste that link in your browser, send it to everyone in your address book and say, hey, I heard about this great organization. Spread the news about hunger. The more we talk about it, the more we shine the light on it, the smaller the problem is going to be.
And Maureen, this is a problem. I mean, when, like Andrew said, when you're talking about numbers like 30 million kids that go hungry every day, that's a lot. That's 2 or 3 states combined of bodies.
There's no reason for it. I mean, we could solve this problem if we put our heads together. And our schools are doing to help solve the problem. But I think there's a lot more that can be done. And so we try to celebrate with a good time, but talk about the critical issue at the same time.
And this thing, I'm telling you, you've got superstars, you've got chefs, you've got NFL players, you've got Hall of Fame players, celebrities. We have Tim Love and a couple other world-renowned chefs that are going to be here. And I look at it as almost like a 32-course meal.
Yes.
As you walk through and you pick. And again, and the nice thing is you can go back and get extra samples if you like that. The chicken lung souffle or something that you have, right?
Spectacular this year because Phoenix is a foodie market. There are some of the top chefs in the country that have restaurants here, and they immediately signed up to help. So we won't be serving soft squash.
Not in my booth this year. We did that last year.
We're not going to serve that, but you will get everything: pork, chicken, steak, pasta, desserts galore, and some great drinks.
All right. Well, we can talk a little football, Andrew. I mean, us being Viking fans, we don't have much to talk about. I don't know if because you live there,
We're not in it this year?
Yeah, I guess you're supposed to have a good season and then just stop, right?
Do you want to know something? The world stopped for me when the Giants played the Vikings at the big whiteout game at home 2 weeks, the week before the season ended. I was there with my son. What a great game. I thought, that's it. We're Super Bowl bound. And then that week they came out and said, statistically, the Vikings were the worst 14-3 team in the history of the NFL. I'm like, come on, who's making this stuff up? But yeah, Vikings will be in it in Las Vegas next year, and you and I will be having a much different conversation. But the game, I think, is going to be really exciting. I think that what it's come down to I think, sure, could some of the other games gone a different way, with Buffalo or Cincinnati perhaps, but I think we have the 2 best teams in football going at it on Sunday.
Before we let you go, I just want to ask you, how did you decide to make Minnesota home?
Wasn't my decision. January 27th, 1992, I walked into a restaurant in New York City and into my umpteenth intervention. And instead of running out the door and continuing to drink and drug my way through life, I was ready to stop. And I just said to my friends, I knew what an intervention looked like. I said, what time's my plane? Because I knew they were sending me away. I just knew it. And they said, we're leaving in an hour. And I had no more fight in me. I was a homeless street junkie and alcoholic, a user of people and taker of things, living in an abandoned building in Lower Manhattan. For the first time in my life, I was willing to accept help. So I did. And I woke up 3 or 4 days later, and I was in the hospital wing of what's now Hazelden Betty Ford, but back then Hazelden in Center City, and stayed sober ever since. Last week was my 31st anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, that's awesome. And your story parallels much like Lee Steinberg. I don't know if you guys' paths cross, and to show your vulnerability and to be a success story that you are. I don't think you share that story enough for people. They just see you as this TV personality.
Well, I say it every time I'm asked, right? And I mean, look, here's the thing, because I'm sitting across from someone that certainly has had plenty of challenges in his life and never saw them as challenges. You saw them as opportunities, and you weren't going to let your circumstances dictate what your life looked like. It took me 30 years on planet Earth to come to that realization. So, I'm late to that party. But for people like you, me, Lee, we have the same stories that everybody else has. Everybody else has challenges. Everybody else has problems. But there's stigma associated with sharing them, right? So you made a decision at some point, right, that you were not going to let that stand in the way of talking about it every opportunity that you could. Every single opportunity that I have to talk about my isms, I do. And that's why I fight tirelessly for this, because, I know what homelessness is like. I took meals at the Salvation Army. I stole to feed myself. I lived in an abandoned building. I did all those things. I was an active addict and alcoholic. And I was blessed, and I'm not one anymore. And so when I got my platform 20 some odd years ago, I made a decision based on urging of, by some friends to not waste that time. And I think it was the best decision I ever made, because every day, I'm sure like you meet someone who sends you a tweet or stops you on the street or says something and says, thank you. I heard you say X, Y, or Z at A, B, or C, and it changed my life. And I guess that's what's most important, right?
Yeah, except I don't have a TV show. Like, I don't have a travel. As much as I travel, it should be like, I should be showing all the crazy things that I have to do in my life. And I appreciate the kind words for me. And Maureen, I'd like to know how you got involved in this in the first place. What made you want to? You've had a very successful career in Minnesota doing the things that you've been a part of, and the Taste of the NFL and everything. But what brought you to this level and the magnitude of the impact that you make?
Well, I was on the board of Taste with Andrew for about 10 years, and I knew how important this event was to fight food insecurity. And so I was doing the Super Bowl in Minnesota, which you guys were all part of, which is great. And after that, I really wanted to give back. And so the founder, Wayne Kostrowski, was ready to retire, basically. And I said, it's too good of a brand not to keep it going. And it's one of 2 sanctioned events by the NFL, and it's the largest philanthropic event. So we partnered with Gen Youth and still food insecurity and student hunger, and it's been growing. So it's wonderful. We've last year, this will be the 3rd year in a row, we will have raised over $1 million to give back, and we couldn't do it. I have to mention PepsiCo and Foundation and Quaker and Frito-Lay and
make all the plugs.
All those
Get
guys.
them out there.
None of this. They care so deeply about this issue, and they're on the front lines with us, and we are grateful, really, really grateful.
It's funny that I've forgotten about that. You and I, we were on the board of Taste the NFL together. We're both on the Super Bowl host committee for Super Bowl 52. We're now doing Taste the NFL for Gen Youth. We've been working together for a long time.
Probably, yes.
One word about corporate America and food. First of all, we can't do it without our corporate partners. But and anyone who knows me knows that I'm not on Karl Marx's left knee, but I'm sitting on his right knee. I'm about I consider myself a socialist utopian. And people always ask me why I'm such a big fan of big corporations. And I'm a fan of them because they have the ability to make an impact. And there are so many of them that do absolutely nothing, and shame on them. And then there are companies like the ones that are helping us that do everything they can to support this organization and to help us end childhood hunger. And I don't think those two things are incompatible. So for the people out there who are saying, hey, Andrew Zimmern, you're always railing against quote unquote big food and big ag. Yeah, I am against the bad actors in that group. But I'm also want to make very clear how much I support and adore the companies, the big companies that actually have foundation arms and giving arms that do so much for so many, because they're able to make huge impact. For them to write a big check is possible. Without them, we couldn't do the work we're doing.
It's so good to see these corporations working with you guys, and they don't get credit enough because they think of them as money making machines, but they do give back.
That's right. They get railed. It's very funny because we're all a bunch of us are Minnesotans here, right? One of the biggest companies in the world, food companies, is General Mills, right? So everyone says you're poisoning our kids with sugar. Now, you can look at it that way, and I've said this to the president of General Mills. I said, you can look at it that way. What people don't know is that the group in the world that's spending the most money on planet Earth researching drought-resistant grain because of our climate crisis is General Mills. They're just really bad at telling their own story. And I put them on my MSNBC show, What's Eating America, because I wanted to show people, what corporate salvation. Look, they're trying to save themselves, but at the same time, they're doing incredible work by researching a product that can grow anywhere and yield big numbers without as much rainfall. Kernza, that's an incredible story, right? They're just bad at telling it. So, yeah, a lot of companies doing a lot of good out there.
Shout out to Count Chocula, which is a General Mills brand, yes! And my favorite of all time. But don't forget, you can give and donate to genyouthnow.org. Go to that website. It's an amazing organization. And tickets, again, tasteofthenfl.com. We're going to take a quick break for a commercial break, but I'm just going to talk while we see this commercial, of course. And don't forget, right now on Radio Row, it's an exclusive. You can get 25% off of Fresh Clean Threads. That's right. The shirts that I'm wearing, what we've been wearing all week. You go to freshcleantees.com/GSS show, type in the code touchdown, you get 25% off. It's exclusive only to us. Only in the nation of the United States can you get this special discount. And like I said, I've been wearing them all week. So if you want to look good and feel good and wear these fresh, I got everybody that's got these shirts, and of course we're going to give you guys a couple, but it's been a great week on Radio Row. Again, thank you to our sponsors. As we wrap up, let's get our folks updated on your life, Andrew, real quick. As far as, we've seen you on various shows, Travel Channel, all those kind of things. So what do we got now? Where can we find you? How do we see you?
Everything Andrew Zimmern, you can find out at andrewzimmern.com. I'm on the Outdoor Channel with Andrew Zimmern's Wild Game Kitchen, Netflix with Iron Chef, and Magnolia Network and Discovery Plus with Family Dinner. And of course, they stream 20 years of Andrew Zimmern television. Every show I've ever made has been for one of the now Warner Brothers Discovery family of lifestyle networks, except for MSNBC show, so it's all on the streamer there. It's weird having people come up to me saying, I love your new show, Bizarre Foods. I'm like, been making that since 2007. It's wild, but streamers have made all of that, all the old stuff new, but the new stuff is pretty fun. Family Dinner I'm really proud of. Wild Game Kitchen on the Outdoor Channel is fantastic. If you love to cook, it's I love making television.
And Maureen, do you guys ever just get together and slum it and hit a White Castle out on St. Paul on University Avenue?
I'm just glad he stayed in Minnesota. I'm in Minnesota.
It's funny that you said this is the honest to God's truth. If you walked into my house right now and you opened up the freezer, there is a stack of frozen White Castle sliders because that is probably my new comfort food. What do you call it? Guilty pleasure? They come like 12 to a box, 90 seconds in the microwave. If I could stop, I would. It is, my friends look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, until you've had a White Castle steam burger, and I know where they are in the Twin Cities. They're disappearing, but they're still there. But those ones in the freezer case, they're in my house right now.
Yeah, for our folks that aren't in the Midwest and don't know, they're the equivalent of Jack in the Box tacos at 2 a.m. that you get here in the Valley. And
Culver's is my big passion, though. Culver's, I still think, is the best fast food burger there is.
Have you ever thought about a show where you try to take fast food that's made and make it into a better product or do
someone
something?
else, it's on True TV. It's called Fast Foodies. Someone got there before me. Every good idea is already taken.
Hey, yeah. Well, I think we could do something with me and you doing some stuff working together, Let's find accessible restaurants, because there's that's one of my biggest peeves, and I don't want to get on a soapbox because I'd have to crawl up on the table. But when in the East Coast, there's all these beautiful diners, and the diners are always built to have that look of a train car and steps up, and there's never accessibility to get to those things, and I miss out on a lot.
It's a huge. There's a friend of mine in New York who's opened a fine dining restaurant in Harlem that is owned, operated, and staffed by people with challenges of all kinds, right? And they have tried to create a model to show you that not only is it possible to build a restaurant like that, but that you can have one of that quality where, everyone who cooks there, serves there, opens your bottle of wine, opens the door, greets you at the table. And I think it's something that we need more of. I think those kinds of restaurants, just like the hunger problem, show you that these things are solvable. We don't have to have a world where there's more walls. We need to lower walls. There shouldn't be walls. It's just that simple.
So true.
Well, amen to that, and I'm going to have to get that information from you so we can do something on that for Ability Media and the Disability Channel. Because again, if we are the biggest minority in the world, and yet we have the smallest voice. And there's so many, I'm sure you've experienced this, where they have these grandfather clauses. It's a historic building, we can't change and put in a ramp, or so many things that I could jump out of my wheelchair and lift it, but I might champion the causes for those ahead of me and those that can't do these kind of things. So, real quickly as we let you guys go, Maureen, I kind of forgot. Where can we fix ourselves and get tickets for this event this weekend?
tasteofthenfl.com, and actually at the door, where you can, if you decide at the last minute to come, don't hesitate.
And there are VIP packages for if you want the ultimate experience, which gets you probably a little one-on-one time with the chefs and the NFL superstars and things like that. Maybe get to hang out and have a hot dog with Andrew or something like that.
Well, he's our MC. And he is going to do a couple fabulous recipes. And he's even challenged Mark Booker to a burger throwdown. So don't miss that.
Technically, he challenged me.
Okay.
But he is a nationally renowned chef who has won several Best Burger in America awards. He considers himself a burger specialist. But sadly, he's going to have the bittersweet taste of loss in his mouth come Saturday night. It's just, it's going to happen. I got plans for him. I'm coming for you, Booker.
There we go. It's been a throwdown, a hamburger throwdown. Real quickly, what's the best way to make a hamburger that people screw up? Because they always either overcook them.
Pan's not hot enough, meat's too cold. So, it's the most common problem with food of all kinds. Let your food come to room temperature before you cook it, and cook with 25% more heat than you think you should.
All right. Predictions, quick. Or do you care?
Philadelphia Eagles are going to go out in front big. It'll look close at the end. I'm going to say 35-24, but it's going to be 35-7 and at the third quarter. I think Eagles big.
Maureen, you care?
Well, I kind of like Kansas City because the Eagles were not nice to us Vikings.
Oh, I'm smelling dinner bet here on the Super Bowl between you two.
Yeah.
He gets White Castle. You have to go to the Mancini's. Does that still exist?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Andrew Zimmern, Maureen Bausch, thank you guys so much for what you do. And again, go to the tasteofthenfl.com. Get out there and make sure you give. It's going to be a great day. You're going to walk away full and it's just a wonderful event. So thank you both for joining us on Radio Row. I'm Dave Stevens. That's going to end our first guest for today. Again, don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. And like I said, we got 25% off if you go to freshcleantees.com and you type in that touchdown show code. Well, of course, you're following Geary, Stein and Stevens, and type in that show code touchdown. You get 25% off of your shirt. So thank you guys, everybody, for joining us on our first round. Now I'm really hungry, so I got to go and figure out where I can get some food. Dave Stevens live for Geary, Stein and Stevens on Radio Row as we're kicking off.